All right.
And we are live. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure we're live. It says, 4 seconds of live already. So we're here.
All right. All right.
And
So
I
we're
don't know
here.
if we're going to get anybody in the chat or not because it's kind of an odd time of the day.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
we might
It's all
get
right.
some
It's all
UK
good.
people showing up. I don't know.
Either way, it's on the YouTube, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They can
let
watch
me
it
know
later.
when you're ready for me to hit the record, and I'll
Oh,
get going on
yes.
that.
Let me
And
get my Audacity. Okay, everybody, I'm going to do countdown. As soon as I hit or say the word record, then hit
Mhm.
record.
All
All right.
right.
So ready? 1, 2, 3, record.
Record. All right.
So we have
All
that.
right.
Gotcha. We're
I'll
ready to
find that on
go.
my end. I'm going to tweet out the stream link.
Will you tweet and tweet away? Then I
Thank you
will.
for doing that because we're supposed to be doing the same thing, but
We are.
no,
I know.
it's actually the link is already in our Becca. I mean, you can
Huh?
retweet it. You can go ahead and do that, but the link is already live in our social media
It is.
because it was pre-programmed, remember? So,
I'm gonna go look at that right now. Sorry.
yeah, it should already be it should already be live.
Because I don't
But
see
we
it.
can yeah, it was on Facebook and on
Oh,
Twitter. I
there it
put it
is.
on our Twitter. Yeah.
But did you put a link? I don't see it. Oh, you did.
It's
To
in
the
there.
YouTube. All right.
Mhm.
I'm going to retweet it now with. Okay, we're live
Woo.
with.
And there's nobody in the chat right now. I don't know because I'm not using my Chromebook. I'm using the Windows PC, so maybe I won't get the delay I did on chat like I did last time. I just don't like the camera for my old laptop. It's kind of fuzzy. But then I tell Becca that I don't mind being fuzzy because I'm old and it makes me look younger.
You're so funny. All right. So that being said, do you want me just to kick off like we normally would, and we'll just get going?
Yeah, we'll get
All
going.
righty.
Let's get going.
All right, so we're going. All right, I got a cat just coming in to visit me. All righty then. All right, here,
Max
here
is
we
here
go.
snoring next to me.
Right, yes, one or the other. All right, so I won't do the count in because we're already here. So for everyone that's already there, if there are, if not, we have crickets. Anyway, welcome to Kanata's Castle. We are having a guest today, the very awesome, very Star Wars knowledgeable, and
Oh yeah.
in another genre, we have Yoda Bauer from Port Haven Forum. Thank
I
you so much for
know.
joining us on short notice.
Oh, no, this is great. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
She saved our lives for celebration, remember? For the
Yes.
lotteries because we were like
Oh, that's right.
clueless.
I spent so long on that
Absolutely.
video. I spent so long on that video.
I know you did. And you like saved our lives, man.
But you did such an excellent job because even from the official stuff that was coming out, we're like,
Yeah.
huh?
What?
So if they need someone to interpret their stuff, they should hire you.
Yeah.
There's a job for you.
I'm available, Reed Pop.
I
I'm
know.
just
Well,
saying.
we've asked Lucasfilm and Reed Pop several times to hire us, but they have yet to
No,
follow up on
They're
that.
missing out.
that's all right. So I want to again thank you for joining us. And at this time, I really want you to tell our listeners, even though no one's in our chat at the moment, but when they go back to our feeds,
Yeah.
tell them a little bit about yourself, what you do, and where they can find you, and what really interests you when it comes to Star Wars. Like, what is your main thing right now in Star Wars?
So I go by Yoda Bauer most places. So like a lot of my personal accounts will be that. Otherwise, it's at Port Haven Forums. Below me is our site's Twitter feed. YouTube.com/the Star Wars Refuge is our YouTube channel, where we do chats like this sometimes, which is really nice. And we just kind of, I have a regular co-host and a increasingly more regular co-host over there, and we just like to hang out, have fun, talk about stuff. And Star Wars, I mean, for me, it's I'm in it for the Jedi. I get very defensive about my Jedi, hence the whole Yoda in the
It's
name
okay.
thing. So I'm in it for like the crazy Force lore and stuff. But I'm also just in it for like, I just think it's more fun. Like, I don't think you have to enjoy everything about Star Wars to be a fan. I think it's okay to not like things about Star Wars. But I think if you're not having fun, then maybe you should look for something that makes you have fun, because it should be fun, is kind of how I feel about it.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And I'm so glad you're bringing that up, because that leads into a couple things. I love your Twitter, because obviously it's always very positive. And right now, Twitter is, as I tell my oldest child, who will be turning 23, it is a cesspool full of negativity. So be careful where you tread, and I love yours for the fact that no matter what it is, like you said, even if it's something that doesn't really gravitate towards you per se, you still shed positive light on it. You know what I mean? And you find a way to just enjoy it for what it is, right? So I have noticed recently in your most recent tweets, and this is something I really want to talk about, it because it gravitates towards me as well. So for you, the landing that J.J. Abrams took for what's considered a new home in the music aspect of it, the conclusion of the Skywalker Saga, it stuck for you. And it works for you. And I think that's great. And you do your best to show positive light on that. Even though people may not agree with you, and you always say, like you said, it's okay if it doesn't work for you, that's great, whatever. But here's my thing. When it comes to that, I guess my question is to you is why does it stick for you? What was it that really stood out for you that for you, you're like, yeah, you know what? I can get on board with this. And this works to close it out after 40 some odd years of Star Wars.
It's interesting because a lot of what worked for me with Rise of Skywalker is what they did with Rey, and it's really ironic because a lot of people who didn't like it because of what they did with Rey. It was a path where they took it, and people, again, if you didn't like it, I understand the reasons why people didn't like it, and that's they have every right to feel that way. But it's kind of ironic because when I started with the sequel trilogy, I really love Kylo, and I still love Kylo. But I started to connect to Rey more. Like, I liked her in the first movie. I connected with her in The Last Jedi, and then like Rise of Skywalker, where I was like, oh, I get what this character is about now, and like kind of started obsessing over her, which is kind of interesting because she's like the main character, and it's weird that it took me to the third movie for me to go, oh, I get what's going
like
on.
Like light bulb. Woo! Right.
Now I get what's going on. I liked her journey because I think with Last Jedi, what a lot of people connected with her is the nobody part. And I didn't necessarily connect to the nobody part. I did not connect to it, but it wasn't the part that resonated with me. But I connected with somebody who was like waiting around for a hero, right? The frustration of things aren't right. Things are bad. We need Luke Skywalker to show up and save the day. And she starts really with Han in The Force Awakens. She goes to Luke, and then she goes to Kylo, hoping that he'll become Ben in Last Jedi, which doesn't happen until the next movie. And that was something I could really connect with. And I also kind of connected with Luke in that movie, the scene where he's describing like what really happened and how he failed. And that line of like, because I was Luke Skywalker, and like, that's why he failed. It kind of hit me it's going to get like weird and depressing, and I don't mean it to, but it's like, it kind of hit me at a point where you realize your heroes are human. And I was dealing with the realization that your heroes are human. And so like Rey dealing with her heroes being human was really what I connected to in Last Jedi. And then when you get to Rise of Skywalker, I'm not unique in this. I think a lot of people who do content creation struggle with this, or maybe just life in general, but I struggle with imposter syndrome, right? This idea that no matter what I've done, no matter what people say, I'm not good enough, and they're going to figure that out. And one day they're going to realize like, oh, she wasn't actually half as interesting as I thought her was. And then like everyone will go away. And like, that's what if you don't know, like imposter syndrome isn't necessarily, I think people are lying to me. It's like, I think that people mean what they say, but they're wrong, and they'll figure it out one day. And it's like that fear. And I feel like Rey is really going through that in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, a lot of people hate the bit where she has to earn Luke's saber. And I know the novel kind of deals with it in a little bit different interpretation, but like, I know what it feels like to feel like you haven't earned the saber that called to you and chose you. I know what that feels like. And to feel like that and then still see her kind of use it at the end of the film was something that resonated with me. And so it was just kind of that journey with her that I really connected with. And I guess that's why I got so excited about it.
Awesome. No, and I agree. And I love how you threw something out there, because I really never thought of it like that, where the whole earning the saber. And I'm seeing that now, that's really starting to bother people, because it called to her. So technically it's hers, but that's all well and good from the saber's point of view. But to her point of view, she doesn't feel she's quite there yet. She knows there's something else going on with her, and she's not quite sure what it is, but she knows it's not good. And she does. This is where I love to cross streams. This is almost Harry Potter moment when he's talking to his godfather, that I feel like I'm going to be bad. I feel like I'm turning bad. She's going through that same schematics, like right now, like there's something, luring me this way. And that's why, for me, the very ending, how it sticks, I have my own personal feelings, but if you look at it in the Harry Potter sense, Harry Potter does what with the Elder Wand? That does belong to him. Cracks it and tosses it away, because in his mind, no one should have that kind of power. Nobody, not even him, though he did the right thing, just like Rey. Does she deserve that ultimate power? Let's be honest. Anakin's saber, that last one that he had when he did atrocities with it, also good things too, it was built to last. There was something unique about that saber. He didn't just use one kyber. He had another kyber in there. And that's why when it split, it was still intact, so to speak. She was able to, bandage it, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But that's why I really think not only is she bearing it for sentimental reasons, I think it's also she knows that, I shouldn't be in charge of this. No one should be. And I think it's kind of that same Harry Potter move that, no one is worthy of this.
Her bearing it for that reason.
Because let's be honest, it has done good deeds, but it also has done bad deeds. That does mean it has a sort of balance to it, but it also means it can call to either way, is how I've always looked at it. Because had she not been there to get that saber, it would have went to Kylo. It struggled. We all saw it struggle. And then it flew past him to her, but it still struggled. And it still struggled in between her and Kylo in The Last Jedi too, because it has been on both sides.
Yeah, interesting.
So
mind blown. Yeah,
I know. This is where I love crossing streams, because so I love how you say that, the whole earning, because Luke, let's go back to it. I mean, especially in Empire Strikes Back, he didn't feel like he needed to earn. Right. He felt like he was ready. He could go now, go save his friends, but I'll be back.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Right. So he didn't realize it till, probably one of his most complex, crossroads moment, where he decides to throw the saber away, that he realized, I need to earn this. This is my earning moment, is throwing it away, claiming that status. I'm ready now. This whole, I'm ready. I can be a Jedi. You weren't then. And I think
Rey it was symbolizing not giving into anger when he did that. Because he did, he says, I'm a Jedi like my father before me, which means that he's not going to give into the anger to destroy him.
Right.
Which would have been bad, which is why then we see the black suit flap open to the gray at that point.
Balancing moment.
It was very scary back in 1983 when you see your Luke Skywalker in a black outfit and you're like, uh-oh.
Right? He's doing the force choke, I was like, what's going on here? No, definitely. But I still say, out of what we've seen just in the actual saga with the 9 films, out of all the, I guess, heroes' journeys, to me, Rey's is the most pure in a way where she realizes that she's not quite ready. She's not this, she doesn't hype herself up.
Right.
Where Anakin's already like, I'm the best, you know, I'm the best. I can do this. I can rival Master Yoda in a sword fight. And, you know, Obi-Wan, only in your dreams, young one, you know. So he's already putting himself up there. Luke too, with I'm ready. I can be a Jedi. You know, Rey's very modest, very humble from the beginning.
Well, but that
she doesn't see herself.
But that's also, that's kind of environment and upbringing in some respects. People were always telling Anakin that, you know, you're the chosen one. Your midichlorians are so high or whatever. But Rey wasn't having anybody around her saying, look how good you are at this. And
but neither was really Luke, other than the piloting.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the skill that got him fame in the beginginning. Yeah.
Then we never really see it again after.
Nobody, I mean, how many people actually know he used the Force to, I don't know. I mean, except for the people in the people in that room, you turned off your targeting computer. What's wrong? You know?
Yeah.
Right.
How many people finally, you know that story? I'd like to know. Is somebody going to write that story? Who knew that Luke used the Force to do that?
I bet you Leia knew.
Well, I'm sure she did. But
she just didn't share a lot, but she had a lot going on all up here. So it's interesting to really think about, because I think there's more stories to be told there, even in between and going onward, even maybe before it gets to that point. But this is one of probably my only real biggest, I guess, if you want to call it an issue, is that I really wish there would have been more of a time lapse.
Yeah.
We only get a year. I mean, because you think of it, the Force Awakens and The Last Jedi picks up right from each other. It's like one ongoing movie. And then you get that 1 year.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I know you and I have talked about, you know, it would have been neat if they had done it part 1, part 2 style, you know, like, you know, like
but Star Wars
Twilight or
isn't,
whatever.
you know, built that way. But I think having more time.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's interesting too, because like on the one hand, I really like that Last Jedi did something different and make that short time jump. Because I think so much of the emotion of what's going on in Last Jedi is really dependent on remembering that. Like I think when people talk about the whole, like, should Holdo have told Poe anything? Should Poe have believed Holdo? I think that like the critical thing that I think everybody forgets about that debate is the Republic was blown up like a day ago. And
right.
Like,
exactly.
Everybody is still on like those heightened emotions. Everybody is in an intense period of mourning. They're in shock. They're sad. They're like, what is going on? And so when you look at like Holdo's motivations and what she does and Poe's motivations and what he does, you got to remember, like, these people have had their 12 rugs pulled out from underneath them.
Right. Sure.
While they're going through that. But for us, it was 2 years. And so I think for viewers, we're like, what's wrong with you? Just do the thing. And do
the thing. I love it.
And, you know, and everybody else in The Last Jedi is like, I haven't had sleep. And like, I think remembering that is really.
I just want to use the refresher. Can I just go?
I do the dang sandwich. Where is the cafeteria? Like,
there you go.
Sorry, that's fantastic.
If we look at The Last Jedi, like everybody is angry and constipated. Like
exactly.
Like it makes total sense. And so, like,
3PO just wants an oil bath. I mean,
come on, guys. And so I think that's really important. And then, but because of that, which I think was interesting.
Sorry.
No, it's
great.
But then you get so little time to like spend with the characters. Like we couldn't spend any, like there couldn't really be any publication. There was no books, no comics really about the time in between. Like the lead-in novel was Phasma, which was a prequel to The Force Awakens.
Right,
so,
right.
You know, and the other, like the YA release was, I think, Canto Bight, which was short stories. So like they had no real chance to give us even anything in between. And then only 1 year, again, it kind of puts that urgency and it kind of makes a story sense. But then it's like, okay, but what happened in that year? You know,
Right.
it's like
Right. Like, well, yeah. I mean, the gist of the year is, okay, Leia trained Rey.
yeah,
Okay. So
Right.
we
And
get
she
that
sent them out looking for supplies and
for
people.
supplies and people.
Mhm.
People.
Yeah.
Right. And, and then Palpatine has the final order.
yeah, he pops
There's
up
like
LOL.
zillions of Star Destroyers, like with like death weapons to destroy a planet.
He was very
But-
productive in quarantine.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
he was bored.
He had a jar of smokes. I like the
Jar of
jar.
Snokes. I love it. Jar of Snokes.
I love the
Uh.
pickle Snokes. I wish I could have had like a camera on my face in the theater for Tross, because like when I saw the pickled Snokes, I'm sure I was like, what is my mind was still reeling from, I think that was Mustafar, but why does it have trees? And then suddenly there were like pickled Snokes, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Slow
You can't
down.
pause it. You wanna pause it and process for a minute. Yeah, you can't.
Right.
There was no processing time in that whole movie. You're just in there.
No.
Well, it was so fast, and all I could think of in my mind was like, George is finally going back. They finally listen. Fast and more intense.
Yeah.
There it is.
Perfect.
There it is. Because
That
we're all
was
like,
true.
oh my gosh. Yeah, like it's
Oh,
crazy.
and the rumor is there's going to be a Lucas cut. So what's going to happen to that one?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, sure. But no, I mean, you put such a real world spin on it, and we're laughing at it, but it's true
We
though.
love
Like,
that.
think
Yeah.
about it, and and regardless, Haldo was brought in to do a job. She
Yep.
wasn't there to explain to the hotshot pilot what her plan was.
Yep.
She was right. She's like, didn't you just get like
Demoted?
Like, you literally got downgraded, dude.
Yeah.
Take a seat back. We don't need you right now. Go
Yep.
find somewhere to cool off. Like, he needed a shower. Seriously, go find a
Yeah.
refresher. Cool
He got
down.
a little,
Get a
he got a
sandwich on the
little
way.
cocky with his, well, he thought he had this close relationship with Leia. So,
Yeah.
Well, he did.
had an inside.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I shouldn't say thought, but he did.
Yeah.
And so, but Haldo is, more military than he was, even basically. I guess when it came to the hierarchy.
Mhm.
So she was approaching it from that
Mhm.
and he was emotionally approaching it. Basically,
Yep.
he just wanted to blow stuff up because he was mad.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a very normal reaction.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. But, you got to look at it this way. Haldo came into it. I mean, if you want to mirror it to something very similar to Leia did when she, in A New Hope, when they arrive on Yavin 4, right away, they're ready to, sorry, drop something. They're ready to basically express their sorrows for Alderaan. She's like, we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
She went right into military action, and she did. So, and it's the same thing with Haldo. A tragedy happened, but she's like, we don't have time. We need to act now. I don't have time to explain what I'm going to do. We're just going to do. And that's how it is in, those situations, at least what I've, seen in other films and read in other books and in just history, so she doesn't owe him anything.
Well, I think the part of that too that people kind of forget is the bit where after Leia tases him and he's knocked out, Holdo's like, I like him. So like everyone acts like Holdo is she just didn't like him because he was a man. And I'm like, okay, but like where's the part where he actually low-key impressed her? Because like Leia and Holdo are like, okay, he's fine. Like, we get it.
Right.
Well, and you have to then think that the two of them have had conversations about their personnel.
Oh, I'm sure.
So clearly, Haldo knows his weaknesses and his strengths.
Yep.
So,
Well, we also know from in between that year span of The Last Jedi, well, actually, that doesn't even help us out at all. But it is known that people have talked about Poe. I mean, the First Order knows who he is.
Yep.
We learned this going into the next movie in The Force Awakens through other books by Justina Ireland, and then from Rebecca
Roan Horse.
Roan Horse, that, you know, he's known throughout. And it's not just his piloting skills. People know his face.
Yep.
So he's known. He's been talked about over those years. And thanks to Alex Segura, who just wrote Freefall, we do know that shortly after, I want to say Poe was probably like 18 when he joins the New Republic. So he's already been there for how many years? Like practically by the time we get to see him in The Force Awakens, he's been there at least to some function of it for half his life. Because he's in his mid-30s.
And and he was raised by rebellion pilots and
right. So he's known. Yeah, because like you said, because his family's known. He has roots. Yeah. You know? So it's crazy. But like I said, I think to that, which leads into my next topic that is actually by you, that you came up with in our private conversations. It brings up the whole, where is it? The difference in between criticism and negativity when it comes to this awesome stuff. Because like you said, I mean, sometimes you may not like something, but you find a way to just make peace with it and you laugh at it and you move on. I've done that with Star Wars throughout. There's so many corny things that have happened, but I laugh at it and I make a joke and I'm okay with it because I love it for what it is. I mean, look at the prequels with 3PO. Okay. There is some really interesting way that they go with that character and his lines. And it's like, okay, you know, and you just go with it. And I love Anthony Daniels. I mean, his character is like ridiculously funny and spot on with everything in The Rise of Skywalker. Like I have never loved 3PO so much now.
No, I did not expect to walk into like 3PO's movie and I'm like, we're just this 3PO world and we're just living in it, you know?
That's right.
And it stands true because J.J. Abrams has said that his favorite all-time Star Wars character is 3PO. So there you go.
So when you're in charge, you get to do what you want. So
I mean, that's why R2 got so much screen time in Revenge, right? It's because George's favorite character.
Well, there you go. See, bookends. I love this.
Exactly.
I want to welcome Letitia Cinderella Sunshine.
Hi.
Hello.
She's in the chat room. I'm wearing Grumpy Luke.
Grumpy
You can't really see it. Thank you, girl, for sending me that shirt for my birthday.
Aww.
So,
I love it. Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn, Luke.
It's awesome. So, but so let's touch on that. I mean, so criticism and negativity and the difference in between that. So let's just go into it. Where do you want to begin with that?
I think there's a difference because I see so often like the word positive gets thrown around a lot and in different things. And I've always been a believer that positivity isn't liking things and negativity isn't disliking things, because you can love a thing and be a real jerk about how much you love it, and you can not like a thing and be totally chill about not liking the thing. So I don't really consider them the same. I think a lot of it comes down to how you treat other people and how you leave other people's opinions open, like to your own. And that's something I at least attempt to do when I talk to different people, because different people have different reads. And sometimes you might just not like a movie. And sometimes you might have a more serious criticism. And this is in Star Wars or out if you say there's a representation issue that you don't like. And I feel like you should be able to voice your opinion about how you feel something did. And you should be able to say you didn't like a thing. But I think there's a time and a place for, like, there's a difference between saying, okay, I've seen this movie, I've thought about it, these are my thoughts and my breakdowns, versus this show's announced and we don't know what it's about and I already hate it. Like, those are two completely different spans of things to me. And I see it a lot. You know, we saw it after Last Jedi. There were people who hated The Last Jedi and the sequel trilogy in general because they're toxic and they just don't like this, that, or the other thing. And they're terrible. But then there's some people who just didn't like it because they just didn't like it. They either didn't like how Luke was written. It just didn't work for them. It is very differently set up and pacing wise, I think, than any other Star Wars film. So it would make sense that it wouldn't work for everybody. But then it became this whole shouting match of, like, it's almost like political parties out there, like which movie you like. It's ridiculous.
Scary.
And then
Yeah.
you kind of come out of it, and then now we're at Rise of Skywalker, and I feel like sometimes, I mean, there's the people who didn't like it, and people have handled that in different ways, and then the people who do like it, instead of screaming about instead of talking about what they do like, they're just screaming about blah, 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 but if you hate the movie, and I'm like, if you liked the movie, talk about how you liked the movie. Don't talk about the people who didn't like the movie. If you liked The Last Jedi and you didn't like The Rise of Skywalker, then talk about The Last Jedi. Like, but or talk about what your issues are with that. But when we're talking about each other, and I'm a hypocrite because I do this too, I just try to not do it.
You're only human.
Right,
So,
exactly. But
know.
like, the more we can focus on talking about what we liked or what we didn't, and less about talking about the people who did, discourse about discourse, I don't think is helpful, I guess, is really what I'm trying to say. But like, just talking about the story and like how I liked Rey, but if Rey nobody meant something to you, I don't think you're wrong for not liking what they did in The Rise of Skywalker. And I can see why you would then feel alienated, but it's kind of, I think about the line from Empire all the time. What's in there is only what you take with you.
I love it.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to touch on the whole, I mean, it is discourse, but it's been going on for years now, the whole Rey nobody, or anybody nobody.
Yep.
I've always said to myself, but nobody is nobody. Everybody is somebody. And it has nothing to do with your last name. It has nothing to do with who your parents are or who your descendants are, your ancestors, whatever. It has nothing to do with that. You're somebody.
Yep.
I think basically just writing someone off as they're nobody. You're showing them that they're not valid. She is somebody. She's Rey.
Yep.
She is valid. That alone justifies her. She is definitely somebody, because it's even said in The Last Jedi where she goes, well, I'm nobody and I'm from nowhere. And he goes, well, no one's from nowhere. Like he's like even telling her, you're somebody. So I need to know who you are.
Yeah.
Right. So I argue with that all the time. So I'm like, it doesn't matter if she was a Kenobi, if she was a Smith, she is still somebody at the end of the day. She's important.
Yep.
Whether she's not to you, but she's important to somebody else out there.
True. Yes.
That's just like any one of us. You could see anyone walking by in the street and they mean nothing to you, but that person means something to somebody. Absolutely. So, I can argue with that all day long in a real world sense, because it just, and again, Star Wars, no matter if it's about Luke, no matter if it was about Anakin, whomever, Jin, Han, even when Han gets his name Solo, I mean, they're in the beginning of their arc, if you want to call it that, they're in self-discovery. They need to figure out who they are and who they will become, and then what to do with that after they figure that out. And that's what this is. You can call it a Palpatine, you can call it a Skywalker, and at the end of the day, they're still trying to figure out who they are and their place in everything. And that was, to me, the most important part, not about these names at the end of the day.
Well, and Becca, I think when we're looking at the maybe the demographic of who is being critical or maybe even being ugly about it, I think it's, in some ways, it's generational. The OG generation was really not happy with the prequels.
Right.
Because they had huge expectations. They had 10 years of how many years was it between?
Oh gosh. So from 83 to 99.
Yeah. So, and they had all these books, but then it was, but then they didn't go that direction. He went with the prequel, The Story of Vader. So, and so a lot of people had expectations. And then I'm thinking those same people still had expectations going into the sequels. And you really, and even myself, I said, I've got to not have those. And Beck and I talked about it all the time. Going in, you need to put aside those expectations, or you will be disappointed because it's not our story to tell.
Right.
Nope.
So
No, and I don't think I'd want that job, no matter how much
No.
they offered to pay
I
me,
know.
because
Well, JJ almost didn't want it twice.
No.
he never, no. And, and I think he went about, especially The Rise of Skywalker, regardless of how you feel about the film, I think he went about it the right way. Is he knew going in, I'm not going to please everybody. This isn't going to be a slam dunk. He was just hoping that you would walk away with the feeling of being satisfied.
Satisfied.
And I think that's fair. I do. He wasn't going in with, this is going to be epic. This is going to be great. He wasn't saying that. He never once said it was going to be that.
Right.
He knew, it's, how do you always say it, Devin? About when it came to Kylo Ren and his journey, he was living up to
crushing expectations.
There it is. And that was
so JJ
this
had those
movie.
too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I always said too, going way back when I, first started even blogging way back in like 2005 on the official Star Wars site when they had hyperspace membership, right?
Yep.
I always said that Star Wars, for most of us, the majority of us that are diehard fans, it's personal to us.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, something, a character, a moment, some situation connected, real world like to us. And that is part of, I think, I hate to use it, but part of an issue, because then we feel like in order for that personal connection that we have, in order for that to be justified, what's in our head needs to play out at some point, right?
It's like, I was right. I guessed it.
Right. So, and I've always said that because for me, I am, in a sense, an original Star Wars fan. I mean, I was 4 when I saw the first one.
Yeah.
But it didn't, I mean, I liked it, but I didn't see those huge connections because I was too young to understand.
Right.
So when the prequels came out, I was a young adult. I was starting a family. Those movies really connected to me. I connected with Shmi. I connected with Padme big time. And then, of course, the whole time with Anakin, because I was already a huge Vader fan, I'm telling him the whole time, no, stop, don't do that, go away. He didn't listen to me. He still doesn't listen.
No.
I mean, I'm still saying, no, don't do that. You're dumb. But I still love him.
Yeah.
But there's something about, like you said earlier, about realizing your heroes are flawed.
Yep.
And that was it. Anakin was fully flawed. He may have had this high crushing expectation set on his shoulders.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, he was flawed, just like any one of us.
Yep.
He made a choice. It wasn't the right choice. Therefore, there was a cost and a consequence. And for years, not just himself, but his entire family and the galaxy felt it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because of a choice that he made.
Yep.
And dang, isn't that a good story? What are y'all complaining about?
Right? But this probably explains why I'm loving, like right now, I'm totally reading Midnight Sun, which is, okay, so yeah, oh my gosh, talk about dark and like psychopathic, but yet he's a bloodsucker, so it needs to be there. And he's not human, so you're getting that perspective of thinking. You're like, this explains why I like Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. This also explains why I'm so like, I'm just seething to get into Ben Solo's head in between adolescent years and figure out what makes this guy tick, because I like this type of thinking. Not that I would ever go out and act this way, but it's like you want to try and figure it out. You're like this criminal investigator, alienist type person. You just want to figure out what makes them tick. Why they're doing
there.
that.
Becca wants to be a vampire. Sorry. No.
I just want to shimmer in the sunlight.
There you go.
Oh my God. Well, it's interesting you bring that up too about like entry points into the saga, because some of my friends that I talk to, it's really interesting to talk to the perspective of people who came to Star Wars in the sequel trilogy.
Sure.
And like how they feel about what happened with the Rise of Skywalker. And I almost feel like most of the biggest disappointment, and there's exceptions to this rule, but most of the biggest disappointment to the Rise of Skywalker is coming from folk who either came to Star Wars in the sequel trilogy or maybe fell away somewhere along the way and like came back to it. And especially around Last Jedi, because I love The Last Jedi, and I don't want to talk about it in a way where people think I don't, but I feel like Last Jedi does a lot of things that are the exception to the rule. And that's what made Last Jedi so interesting, is it was so different
Oh,
from
yeah.
other Star Wars films we had seen. The problem is, if you're what brought you into Star Wars, and there's no wrong way to get into Star Wars, but if what got you into Star Wars was the exception to the rule, and then the next thing was almost to the letter the rule that we had before, there's going to be a disjointedness. And you're not wrong for preferring what The Last Jedi did. You're not wrong for preferring that direction, let's say. But the content you're interested in is going to be outnumbered by other content, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of that comes from too. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast when you have two people writing a trilogy, which we really hadn't, like, yes, the originals had Kasdan and had different directors, but George really had a hand in that start to finish. He was basically there for the entirety of the prequel trilogy. We're not used to seeing Star Wars written by multiple people on screen.
No, and too many hands in the pot, right?
Yeah. And Rogue One and Solo, because they were their own thing, it doesn't feel disjointed because they're their own movies. But try to sit down and watch a trilogy, and like, I don't want to feed into the sequel trilogy was bad. But like, I mean,
sorry,
but like, you're not, I think it's also disingenuous to pretend like the sequel trilogy start to finish, like the Rise of Skywalker was what they planned from the beginning. No, it wasn't. But that doesn't mean it's bad. That it's not what they planned from the beginning.
It wasn't. They lost the major character.
Right. Yes.
The main villain. Hello. Sorry.
No. I mean, they lost Carrie Fisher, so they couldn't.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking Snoke. I'm thinking. Yeah. Never mind. But go ahead.
No, I think because some of my favorite parts from TROS are Rey and Leia. And I give that movie a pass with anything they did with Leia, because I think they did the best they could.
The best they could with what they had.
Right. And people are still criticizing that. I just don't
get
it. And some of the lines even that people take the most issue with, like Rey's "I'll earn the saber." Well, it's like, yeah, that's because Carrie wasn't there to say
what you think she should have said. Right.
She couldn't say it because she wasn't there to say it.
Right.
Right. And like, I get that. So, I think that's the other big factor too. So it's like, I don't want to pretend like this is the Rise of Skywalker is what they always intended to do and everything's like blah, blah, blah. But, I also don't think it's that bad. But I think we're finally seeing a Star Wars trilogy where it's like, oh, this is what happens when it's more than one person.
Right.
And then if you know what Trevorrow wrote too, which was also wildly different.
Right.
Totally. And I'm hearing a lot of that. So I don't know. It's just, it's amazing.
My thought process.
The job that I'm just going to say JJ, again, there's another factor of crushing expectations is having to put Leia in there meaningfully,
Yeah. And he really wanted to do that. That was one of his big things. JJ was adamant about doing that. But here's my thought process on all that. Now, granted, I have no experience whatsoever with writing a script, with filmmaking at all.
Yeah.
So just to put it out there, we do know from documentaries that George had an outline for 12 films forever, right? Like he had this doodle outline, whatever, bullet points, whatever you want to call it. So before they even started filming the sequel trilogy, why didn't they pick their writers, whoever was going to do what film, and get them to sit down first and just get an outline going? Then
maybe they
their
did
own scripts.
Yeah.
They?
I feel like what happened, and this is just
I'm
my
just
own,
curious.
No, I don't know. I feel like this is my own tinfoil hat theory. I could be completely wrong, but I almost feel like what they were trying to do with the sequel trilogy was in response to, like, one of the biggest art. I don't know that it's always a fair comparison, even though I do it all the time, but it's comparing the Disney era of Star Wars to the MCU. Okay. And I think one of the biggest criticisms that people have, not necessarily me, but people have about the MCU is like, every movie is a cookie cutter and I've seen 900 origin films. I don't know who anyone is, but I don't want another origin film, and it's like, that's how people talk about Marvel movies. And I think they were like, we're not going to be like that. We're going to be hands off and we're going to pick all these people. And then they started dropping like flies.
Yeah.
And they started having, and then they had replaced directors on Solo. And it kind of became this thing where I feel like they weren't having those meetings because they were like, go, create,
be.
And then they realized why no one does that. And,
Because there has to be some sort of rules,
right.
Limitations,
Yep.
and yeah.
And
I
then
get
What
you.
the story group is for?
Yeah.
It is.
Although
It is.
rumor has it JJ was too mystery boxy to utilize it too much, but I don't know how true that is. But I don't
Who
know.
knows?
Who knows?
And also,
never
if you
gonna
read
know
Bob
that.
Iger's
Yeah,
book,
we never will.
No.
he was Bob Iger talks about how Lucas was asked to submit his script for, and then it was rejected.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what would it?
But
what
here's the
would have
thing: would
been?
we really have liked it anyway?
I don't
I
know.
mean, I don't know. It was like,
I mean, it would still probably be what's going on right now.
yeah,
Of course,
yeah.
Which is
Oh,
why
yeah.
George got out of it in the
they
first
picked
place.
on the creator when he made the prequels.
Biggest pet peeve. That is my biggest pet peeve is when people come at me like, if George Lucas made it, it would be better. I'm like, where were you in the 90s and early zeros? Because
When you hated the
Early
prequels,
zeros.
yeah.
that's not the song I was hearing from anybody. Like everyone was like, it's so many years of Star Wars would be good if someone else made it, and then someone else made it, and they're like, where's
And then where's George?
Right. No, again, Star Wars
Everything's
is
amazing
the one
and nobody's
franchise-
happy.
Right. Nobody's ever going to be happy. We are like so nitpicky. There's no way you're going to satisfy all of us. It's never going to happen. We are ridiculous. We are. And that's why, like I said, I have found my peace. I may not like everything, but that's okay. I like you, I enjoy what the overall story really is. Finding your long lost family, no matter what that is, hope that something someday it will get better. There is that mystery, that myth is still behind everything, and it's a place for me to run away and escape from this real life that I have, that we all are living, and so I'm thankful for what we do have, because I will say this, because I know you were just talking about the whole difference in between the MCU and the Disney era of Star Wars and all that stuff. I will say this, since Disney did take over with books and comics and with films and live action and animation, things seem to match and connect better.
I agree.
There's very few hiccups. They're there. I mean,
they're there.
We're going to get it all right.
Right.
But in the expanded universe, there was so many like what? Like, wait a minute.
Stuff.
That does not go with, what are you talking about?
My favorite
my biggest one is Luke. Okay.
W. Luke. W.
Didn't they just given him Luke 2.0? I don't know. Just what?
But why even the name? Like,
I love Timothy Zahn, but that man, when he names something, it either has too many vowels or not enough.
Yes.
Those are the only two things.
Well, that's why half the time we're like, how do you say that?
I know.
What is that? I'll just skip it and make my own name up.
I want a panel at a con someday that's just Timothy Zahn forced to pronounce his own words for an hour.
Do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
that.
Tell us how to say this.
Right, because they're impossible. Like, I'm sorry. Because we did that at the last celebration. We asked somebody out in the audience to say Thrawn's real name for us. Like, because I can't say it.
And they did it perfectly. That was great. All right, ladies, are you ready for show and tell?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. But I gotta pick mine. Stuff fell, so I'm gonna.
That's all right. I'm gonna let Jess go first, and then so you can pick up your stuff, Becca.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna show. This is the thing I'm most proud of, but it's not anything like super crazy. But this is my lightsaber from Galaxy's Edge, because I miss Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, you've been to Galaxy's Edge?
I went in January before the world stopped.
And I watched somebody do that whole process, and it brought me to tears. Did you choke up when you did it?
Oh, I did too. Like, especially when I mean, I guess if there's such a thing as spoilers for a theme park experience, don't listen.
Spoilers.
But like, because when you build your saber, like halfway through, the ghost of Yoda talks, and I'm just like,
yes.
Like my mother was with me and she's like recording me vertically, of course, even though I explained record horizontally several times. She recorded me.
Look at that. That is fantastic.
This is my Galaxy's Edge saber.
I'm so jealous. I so want to go.
I want to do that. Yeah.
I want to do that too. I have tickets for August 27th, but that's not going to happen.
No. I know. I had a friend got me a ticket to the night at Star Wars night at Celebration.
Yep. That's where I was going to go. And I know. I'm sorry.
Did you keep your tickets?
I kept all my tickets. I'm just going to let them go forward.
Roll them over.
Roll them over.
Here's
You got to.
2 years.
Right? Yes. And then we can all actually, shake hands, hug, whatever. Hopefully not have to cover up the face and guess who everybody is. It's like Halloween night. Who are you? It's like a masquerade,
Masquerade for real.
Masquerade. Exactly. That is awesome though.
But yeah,
so you got to create that.
And when you go, you get a pin, which is how they tell which path you picked. But like, this is
Oh, that's awesome. I like that a lot. That's
cool.
awesome.
But I picked this one because this was the hilt type that had gold in it, because growing up, my 2 favorite Jedi were Yoda, so green.
Yes, I see that.
Actually, a Yoda Kyber in there. And then I picked gold because my other favorite Jedi was Mace Windu. So I have a
very nice.
Windu.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. Okay. Mine is not near as spectacular as that.
Okay. It's show and tell.
Show and tell.
Doesn't matter.
Let's see. First one. My very first celebration, I got this.
So cool.
I had this made out to my child, my oldest. At the time, she was like, I think 9 or 10 when I got this.
Yeah.
So, gotta have something from Carrie Fisher. She was awesome. She was awesome. My 30 seconds of her, or whatever it was, a couple minutes.
Oh, I know. It was 30 seconds. Yeah.
It was great, because I was wearing, at this time, I was part of this Geeks Helping Geeks website where we would, if there was something we were looking for, we couldn't find it, but someone else could, they would pick it up for them and send it out. So, and of course it had the original Star Wars logo on it.
Yeah.
And in Arabic, it said Geeks Helping Geeks. And she's like, what is that? And I explained to her, she's like, oh, I really liked it. That's really cool. That's something I was part of, started something like that. So it was a good few 30 seconds, couple minutes that I remember. And it was great. I couldn't hug her or anything, but that's all right. But it was nice. And my other item, which will go into a conversation shortly.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Nice.
It's still in the box because I don't open my figures. But yeah, little Sabe there. Who knew,
Let it
right?
breathe. Let it out.
Who knew?
Sorry.
But who knew she'd be back in the picture? Like
I know. All right, here's mine. Okay, whoops. This is R2D2, but it was hand painted in 1979.
Oh, that's wild.
Cool.
By a friend of mine. It's like a ceramic, that you would get.
Yeah.
And she's had it for years.
Wait a minute. It's a ceramic.
It's
so
a
someone
ceramic.
had a mold of R2D2. That is really wild. Sorry.
And they painted it.
That's
and
awesome.
She gave it to me a couple years ago because she says, I know you'd appreciate this more than I will. Because she was cleaning stuff out. Her parents had passed away and she found this that she had made herself. She even has her initials on it. And she gave it to me. So I thought that was really special of her to think of me, not just send it to Goodwill or whatever,
I'm just like fascinated with that whole thing because not to go down a whole family path. My grandmother, gosh, years ago, because she grew up on a farm, not grew up. My grandfather and her owned a farm in North Tonawanda, and she had in her garage a ceramic shop where she would actually teach women or men, whoever, but usually women, and to paint ceramics. And she had her own kiln and she would have her own molds and she would do her own. That's why I was like so shocked that someone actually had a mold of R2D2 as a ceramic. That blows my mind.
They did. It's crazy. I know. That's exactly what her mom did was all these ceramics. And I'm like, oh, cool. So, 79 was, it was popular to Star Wars stuff. So I bet there was more than just R2.
Yeah, there has to be. I'm really dumbfounded by that. That's awesome.
That's cool.
Of course, she just did him silver and black. So it's not R2. It's
R2 to you. That's what counts.
But she says, I didn't know what he looked like. So I just painted him whatever.
Aw. Oh, that's awesome.
That's good.
That's our show and tell. All right, ladies. Are you ready for Mad Libs now?
Yes.
All right.
All right. So I guess what I'm going to do is then I'll just alternate between the words I'll have you give me, and then we'll read the story. You ready? Here's our Mad Libs. All right. I need Jess, can I have a noun from you?
A noun. Okay. So much pressure. No. Rock.
Rock. All right, Becca. I also need a noun from you.
Oh, come on. Let's do tree.
Tree. That's very forcey of you. There you go. All right, Jess, I need an adjective.
Okay, so let's see if I remember my grammar. No, green.
Green. If you need to Google grammar.
Turtle.
Oh, I'm going to be, because this is always putting me on the spot, and I hate it. I'm not good. I'm not good flying by the seat of my pants.
Becca, I need a plural noun.
A plural noun? Come on.
I'll just pick a noun and make it plural.
That's true. I already did tree. But I want to do tree again. I'm going to make you guys think. We're going to hear the music going do, 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 do. Do. Oh, okay. So we'll say people. That's plural. Yes.
That's a good one. All right.
I
know.
My mind.
All right, Jess. I need a plural noun from you too.
Plural noun. Droids.
Ooh.
Droids. Okay, Becca. Adjective.
That's a thing that describes a noun.
We already did color, so let's do small.
Skinny, fat. Oh, small. Okay.
Sorry.
Making fun of me.
Small.
Small.
All right.
I'm a smart
Judge me by my size, do you? We're going to go small.
All right. Yoda Bauer, give me a noun.
Noun. Sky.
Sky. Waka. No, just sky.
Skywalker is good. No.
It is. Okay, Becca, I need a verb.
Ooh, it's an action. Like how about run?
Okay. Run. All right.
Run, Luke, run.
I need an adjective, Jess.
Fast.
Goes good with my run. I like that.
All right, Becca, I need a noun.
Oh, we'll do Jedi now. There we go. I want to do Jedi anyway. People, Jedi. Here we go. We have droids.
And now I need another noun, Jess.
Sorry.
How about X-Wing?
Say again?
X-Wing.
X-Wing. My favorite.
That's Devin's favorite. Yeah.
Okay. Becca, I need a part of the body, plural.
A part of the body, plural?
Keep it clean.
Toes.
Okay.
This is going to be great, by the way.
I say keep it clean, and that just makes me laugh at what it could be. And then this is our final one, Jess. Part of the body.
Can it be singular or plural for her? You didn't say.
It's probably singular if it's one. Nose.
Nose. Okay.
Okay.
I always have the hardest time reading these. Okay, I have no idea what's gonna say, but here we go. Okay. Being a princess can sometimes be a challenge. Can y'all hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Here we go. You might be asked to go on a diplomatic rock.
You might. You never know.
On behalf of your tree.
This is clearly an indoor princess.
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well, this goes good with Endor, by the way.
Yeah. It does. Only for Imperial forces to intercept your ship and accuse you of working with the green forces. So, That kind of goes.
Those darn green forces.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
I love Mad Libs. Okay. You will probably have to associate with all kinds of people. Oh my God, that worked.
It works.
That's funny.
They could be old droids or small smugglers.
Babu Frick?
I'm happy. That's so
Maz
good.
Kanata.
Oh!
There you go.
Ah, ding, ding, ding. Sorry.
Small smugglers. Sorry. The word
That's
was
great.
smugglers, but I was laughing so hard, y'all probably didn't hear it. And then, or even a Wookiee. Oh, small smugglers, Wookiee, get it? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, could be our Ewoks with our Wookiee. There you go. Small
Okay.
smugglers. That works.
You could probably learn how to be a sky. Okay.
Hey, don't count anyone out. You know, don't put limits on people.
Okay.
We're so
Oh my
gosh. I'm sorry.
Okay. For your own protection. You might even need to run. No, actually, you might even need to run a speeder bike, which can
Oh.
be tricky on a fast planet like Endor.
That's awesome.
That's kind of true.
Yeah, no, it really
About it.
was.
That was very tricky.
Yeah.
Oh.
They got separated.
Uh-huh.
Sorry. This is working really in our favor,
is,
which is really bizarre.
It's going really well. Okay. Just one suggestion. If you want to be prepared for whatever Jedi you encounter, it is best to be ready for action at all times. In order to see what's coming, be sure to keep your X-Wing out of your toes.
That's no good.
I know. You might want to consider wearing braids or buns in your nose.
Oh, oh gosh,
Perfect.
that's
Oh,
hilarious.
that was great. I love
your
Mad Libs. They're so much
nose.
fun. Buns
Oh,
or
that's
braids in your
hilarious.
nose.
Oh, that's funny. Oh my gosh,
Too
that's
good.
Oh,
That's
man.
fun.
Well,
We always
this
have fun
is
with
a
that.
lot of fun. We do. We are at an
Mhm.
hour, ladies.
Well,
I
I'm
hate
still
to-
going to drop
I hate-
something on you though for the hour.
Oh, that's
'cause there's
right.
a reason why I
You
brought
have a
something.
surprise. Becca has a
I
surprise
do.
for
I
us.
do. So, okay. So this is official content that just came out yesterday, and
Okay.
Dan Brooks from the Star Wars site,
Mhm.
he showed us a little, well, because he wrote an article on it, a little clip of basically the next Darth Vader issue 4. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw it or not. I don't know if you
Mhm.
looked at it. He put it out there.
Mhm.
And here's the thing. So I don't know if you read issue 3. I don't want to spoil anything for you.
I'm well aware of what's going on. I'm on Twitter.
All right. So you're well aware of the Amidalans, and you're well aware
Yep.
of all that going on.
Yep.
So he's in this little snippet that he gave us on the Star
Yep.
Wars site. There's an image. Okay.
Yep.
And it's of the Amidalans. Okay.
Mhm.
It's like all of them, like the handmaidens. They're all there. There's at least 2 or 3 of them with, dare I say it, staffs. Yes, staffs. Very similar to Rey's staff.
Raised staff.
Interesting.
So that's exactly what I said. So I started thinking, I'm like, So, you start to look back, because about a week ago, I put out a tweet saying,
Yeah.
God, wouldn't it be really interesting
Mhm.
if somehow Rey's mom was somehow connected to the Amidalans?
Yeah.
Let's be honest, Rey's hair, which is the same as her mother's because it's in the
Yeah.
movie, the
Mhm.
3 buns is very similar, not the same, but similar
Right.
to the hairstyle from the Phantom Menace that all the handmaidens wore during their, the whole Federation War. Very
Mhm.
similar. Okay, so we got that. Also, Rey's mom wears a similar hooded cloak to what we see Sabe wear at the end of the Phantom Menace. Very
Yeah.
similar.
Mhm.
Not the same, but there's, even with the
So-
little gold trim, very
Mhm.
similar. Now, and we know Rey has a staff. She knew to build one. She knows how to fight with one.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, we see these Amidalans with staffs.
Staffs.
So my question is, because I love connections, whether or not you've ever listened to us, I love when things like this, so many years later or before, you find out that they were connected somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
So my question is, like, is it possible? I'm not saying that there is any family relation, but is it possible that Rey's mother somehow was very similar to Lor San Tekka? He was a follower of the Church of the Force.
Right.
Was she a follower of the Amidalans? Knew of the staffs that they used? You know, maybe Rey already had some, you know, knowledge of how to use that and built one of her own while she was alone on Jakku, because we see her with it, right?
Right.
So is it possible that there's a connection there? And I just think it'd be another final slap in the face of Palpatine that I just do. That a Naboo woman from his own home world, you know, kind of had that last final say, because it brings me back to something. In Empire Strikes Back, I think it's Empire Strikes Back, it is said, no. It's Return of the Jedi. Obi-Wan says that if the Emperor ever knew that Anakin Skywalker had any offspring, they'd be a threat to him. And I've been thinking about that line a lot, because even in The Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine says the Princess of Alderaan. He doesn't refer to her as an offspring of Skywalker. She's the Princess of Alderaan.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she is a threat to him. What does Rey use at the end on Exegol? She uses bolt sabers. The Skywalkers are there. They are a threat to him. I just find there's something there. Maybe I'm overreaching, but I want to run this by you too.
I know. I mean,
And
we
get
know
what
he
you guys thought
wanted
of
to
that.
bring her back. Well, he did. He wanted Rey, but why was he trying to find her to kill her?
So my theory on Palpatine's plan is that Kylo was his first pick, because I think for a while he didn't know about Rey. So like everyone's like, why didn't he just pick Rey? Well, he didn't know about her until no one knew about her till The Force Awakens, right? So he had been in Kylo's mind for a long time, and even if it's your granddaughter, why would you start over on somebody new?
Right.
I think he knew that. I think Palpatine knew that. Like Rey says she sees a vision of herself and Ren on the throne, right? So if Palpatine has seen the same vision, he would assume them together is his defeat. So if he keeps them separated, they can't defeat him. So he knows. I think he wanted to possess Kylo's body as like the final screw you to Anakin Vader for killing him. I'll possess your grandson.
Yeah.
And then he wanted Kylo to kill Rey, one, to cement him forever as killing all of the things he loved, and two, to stop the threat of his granddaughter and Kylo coming together. When Kylo seemed like he was going to be far more interested in Rey and ruling on his own than ever giving in to Palpatine, that's when Palpatine goes, all right, I'll take her then, because she's clearly tripping. So, like, we'll try this out. I don't think he really cared. It's kind of like, you can look at the prequel trilogy and go, did Palpatine care if the Republic or the Separatists won?
I don't think so. He just wanted a war to
he got what he wanted.
It was a decoy for what he was really doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was something else for them to keep their interest on.
I think ultimately, if the Republic wins, he has more of, like, he has more there to. But like he would have been fine if the Separatists won, because he either way he wins, right?
Exactly.
Oh no.
You okay?
What, did we lose you?
Did we come back? Did I
yeah,
go?
we are definitely
you kind of got glitchy. Yeah,
Okay.
I think I don't know if it's I don't know if I have weather going on or what. Or if it's you or if it's me. But
that was just my thing. Is I think that's part of why his plan is wacky. Is I think Palpatine always likes to have two options, and so people like to look at the Rise of Skywalker and go, I don't know what his singular plan was. Well, he didn't have a singular.
He didn't have a singular.
He had a plan for a plan for a plan for a plan. Always, you know, and
a jar of Snokes. So
and a jar of Snokes to go along, right? But yeah, so maybe there is, maybe there's not. I think definitely think there's a story there about his cloned son that just didn't work the way he wanted it to, and that's my thing. If he was created on Exegol and they realized once he was completed that he didn't have the abilities that Palpatine wanted, did he just throw him back to his home world?
Right.
No, maybe he was
Naboo, or did
such
he
a
go somewhere
good
else?
copy. Well, listen, he was such a good copy. He was very, he had human, well, he had the qualities to think for himself and to make a decision that I don't want to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
then to get away, you
Yeah.
know, he wasn't controllable,
Yeah.
probably to the point that Palpatine wanted him to be.
I always
Right.
assumed that, and I know some of this is in the novel, but I always assumed he was not force sensitive, or at least to the degree
Correct.
Palpatine wanted. He probably ran and escaped, and Palpatine
Mhm.
probably didn't care, because if he doesn't have
Exactly.
force powers, what's he going to do?
And-
Say, I'm the
Right.
king
It's
of
no skin off
Palpatine?
his nose.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, why waste resources trying to track him down? No one's going to believe him anyway.
Exactly.
And to what you were saying, Becca, I think he could go, I need to figure out who I am, go to Naboo, and he could have met somebody on Naboo. I think that's
Mhm.
I think that's possible.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
just think it'd be wild if there was some sort of a connection there.
Is there a definite he was or wasn't force sensitive though?
It's definite he was a reject. He had no force ability. Yes.
Oh, I
it
didn't
was in
read
the
that.
novelization.
Right.
Okay,
And,
I don't
And they
remember
refer to
that.
it as a reject, which I hate that word, but that's what that's
Yeah.
how it was
how they
worded.
would,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. So Palpatine
Well,
didn't have
that's
any
too
use
bad.
for him, you know. And then in comes, Ochi looking for the Jedi Hunter, which I really do feel down in my bones. I feel like he was looking for Rey.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Palpatine knew he had someone out there,
Mm-hmm.
and that she had ability, and he was trying to find her.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he would have took her at a young age and got his hooks in her, and he wouldn't have had to have searched for Ben Solo. Wouldn't have had to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Could have let that go, and he
Yeah.
like we said, he had a plan for a plan for a plan,
Yep. Always.
and that's just how he was. Always,
Mhm.
which makes him the mastermind for so much.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
scary to know that could be something out there
Yeah.
like that. Ruling everything.
There's so much more story to be told.
Yes, I
That's
agree.
the exciting part. So,
I agree. Always.
all right, ladies, I think we don't want to make this too long.
Okay.
We want to thank we've had up to 6 people viewing. Now we have 3. I don't know how many of those are just us looking at it, but
I'd say I'm
Yeah,
watching it too.
So there you go.
yeah, but it was fun, and
Yeah.
definitely got to have you back because
Oh, I'd love to.
yeah, you fit in the castle very well.
Yes, you do. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. At this time, I do want to ask you if you want to, plug anything for people to find you and get in touch with you. If you want to be in touch with anyone, let them know where they can find you and listen and watch and maybe read any of your stuff.
Yeah, so the Star Wars stuff that I do, you can either go to port-haven.com, and that will kind of just take you to all of the other places where we are, our YouTube, our other social media things. And then sometimes for fun, I'll do non-Star Wars stuff. I have a very small other YouTube channel, youtube.com/Yoda Bauer, and I stream non-Star Wars games there. So if you guys ever just want to shoot the breeze, that's usually a good place to just come in and shoot the breeze. And then on Twitter at the words below me, or just at Yoda Bauer.
Awesome.
Sweet. Yeah, I've joined her for some games once in a great while. But
it's
see, usually when she's playing, I'm playing something else. So
it's so fun though. I love playing games while I watch streams. People don't understand it, but it's so fun.
Yeah, yeah. I do the same thing. Oh my goodness. Well, Becca, I think you have the outro sheet.
I do. All right. So for all you lovely listeners, you can also contact us about the show at our email at kanatascastlefeedback@gmail.com. You guys can find us on Twitter at Castle Kanata, Facebook and Instagram at Kanata's Castle Podcast. Also, keep in mind, we are now part of the Pitiful Little Band Network. You can find that on Twitter at Pitiful Little Band, or Pitiful Band, excuse me. Our YouTube channel, which you're watching right now at Pitiful Little Band. Also on Facebook. And you can basically listen to us wherever you catch your pods. If you can't find us somewhere, let us know, and we'll make sure that you do. We also have, t-shirts at TeePublic. I'm not sure if they're on sale right now or not, but those are still there. We're
Nice.
still working on new art. Yes, they have face masks now, which is pretty cool. Our tip jar is still on the bar. I believe that link is coming up right now underneath our images. That'll also be in our show notes. And as always, we are still doing our crowd rise where you can give a hospital child a Starlight Brave gown or a fun center. So every little bit goes a long way. And if you want to say hi to me, best place is on Twitter at YouAreAngelB. You can hear me on Tarkin's Top Shelf typically every other week, but lately there's been a lot of books. So we're like every week now doing a review. So you can listen to me there with Mark Suter. Where can they find you, Devin?
Always Red5Mom across all social media.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, let's should we say bright suns?
Sure.
What is
Bright
the, what is the
suns.
bright
Rising
suns?
moon. It depends
Oh,
on the
it's
time of
rising
day.
moon is the goodbye one, isn't it? Okay.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's just like good morning or good evening. So it's just a
Either
time
one?
of day. Yeah,
Okay.
time of day.
Okay.
Or,
So it's
uh,
rising
the-
moons.
The equivalent to "May the Force be with you" is "May the spires keep you."
That's
I
right.
like that.
I'm right.
That's
Let's
it.
do that one, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do
All
it.
right. 1, 2, 3. May the spires,
spires
keep
keep
you.
you.
Good job.
Oh.
All right. I'm going to end it here.